Hello everyone, it's Amy and welcome back for week 119 of Build Your Stash and Craft. Today we're going to just do some latch hook, and I saw this latch hook at the Dollar Tree. Haven't thought about it in years. I made a latch hook rug when I was young. Actually, I should say I started one. I don't think I ever finished it. But it's kind of fun, and it's something you can even do in the evening, just sitting on the couch. And it takes a while, but it's just a nice thing to do. And, you think, well, okay, well, I don't need a rug, or what am I going to do with it? So, but, you could do lots of things with them. It is so soft, like this yarn is so soft and everything. You could actually use this to make like a bohemian cuff. You wouldn't need to make it this wide because you're going to choose however big you want to make it, but you could make it a little bit skinnier and it would make a really cute cuff, and you can put some different color yarns in there and everything, and that would just be something fun to do with it. When I thought about it, my thought was to put it like on the front cover, kind of framed on the front cover of a journal. Now this one I have not trimmed down at all. This is still the full length of the yarn that I cut, but you can trim them shorter so they're not as fluffy. And then after I got it done and it was sitting here and it was kind of curled up a little bit, I got to thinking, wouldn't it make kind of a really cool, let's fold this down. Wouldn't it make a really cool spine on a book? I just think that that would be really neat. And actually, I think that I am going to make one for my journaling on a budget book for the spine, because I just think that's really kind of cool. It's big, it's fluffy, maybe it shouldn't be there, but I just really like it. And so that's what I am going to do. But today I'm just going to show you like how to do it in case you haven't done it before, give you a few tips because I haven't done it in forever, and I remembered a few things after I had started. So I am just going to, and this is really, really skinny yarn. And if it's really skinny yarn, it doesn't really look very good. So you do need a yarn that, this yarn is more like a twine. It's really not big enough to really be a yarn, and it's stiff like a twine, so it doesn't even really fluff up much. So you do want to watch what it is that you use for it. You want some nice yarn. And this yarn right here is just like this yarn here. And this yarn actually is like, it almost just looks like it's like pulled wool or something, and then it just has a string wrapped around it, and that's what makes it look bumpy like that. So if you have this kind of yarn, the only thing is that you want to start with a nice clean end. You don't want this fluffy bit sticking out, and it gets stuck a little bit, but really not too bad. So first we'll just choose a piece, and I thought they would make really cute like little embellishments. So let's just do a small square, so maybe we can just do the whole thing. Now you want it to be a little bigger than what you're going to finish up with. Let's see, I'm going to leave one at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, let's do 6. And then leave one at the bottom. So there's one for the side, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we're going to have one on that side. So if you leave one on each side, then you fold those under, but it makes it easier for you to do the latch hooking to have that little bit extra. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. Okay, so it doesn't look square, but it's the same amount of squares. So, all right, so now we've got a little piece to hook into, and now we need to make our little latch hook yarns. So I have this, let me see, I never did measure it. This was just a flap on a box, so I just cut the flap off, and that's how long I made my yarn. And it is just over 2.5 inches. So 2.5 inches would be perfect, or whatever size that you have. And then all you're going to do is you're just going to take your yarn, start it at the bottom of your cardboard, or the top, it doesn't matter. You just need to know where you started, bottom or top, because you're going to end in the same place that you started. And then you're just going to wrap. And just wrap it a few times and then slide it together, just so you can get a little bit more on there. You don't want to layer, or those pieces will get different sizes, because they'll be longer because they have to go around what's already there. Just kind of unwinding some more of my yarn over here. So we're just going to Just keep wrapping till we get to the other end. Push them together. And they don't have to be exactly the same size because you can trim them down when you're all done anyways. And you don't want to wrap it super tight because otherwise it's harder to get your scissors in there to cut it. And you know, if you don't wrap enough, you know, if you don't have enough to finish what you're doing, then you can just go back and wrap some more. Or if you want to wrap a whole bunch, and then if you have extra, that's good. You can use it on another project, then you could do it that way also. But I'm going to just wrap all the way to the other end because I'm hoping to get enough in this first cut to finish that little square. But yeah, people, you know, they use fabric, they use fibers, and so it'd be kind of cute to just put these, you know, if you trim it down a little shorter, put it as a tuck spot. Now I started on the bottom of my cardboard, so I want to end on the bottom of my cardboard. So I'm just going to cut it right there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold it down on a surface and just go in with my scissors and cut them. Just going to cut on one end, and then you're going to hold it down even when you're done, because then you're going to go in and cut the other end. Now, if you actually used a shorter piece, like a 1-inch piece of cardboard, you could go around and around and then just cut one side. I just thought of that. You'd only have to cut one side, and then your string would be 2 inches long. So I'm just going to hold this down and cut this side. And you just want to hold it down so it doesn't move too much, so you don't have a huge difference in the size of your little yarn bits. So there we go. I got a couple here that didn't get cut through. There. And so now, just like when you get a latch hook kit, you've got all of your little bits of yarn. Okay, so a couple things that I learned. Number one is don't start at the top and pull towards you or towards the bottom. Don't start up here and go this way, because what happens is whatever way you pull your yarn, that's the way it goes. So if you start at the top and you pull them this way, they're all hanging down here and you have to get under there to get to the next one. So start at the bottom and then pull towards yourself, because that will pull the yarn here, and then this one will be completely easy to see. So what you do is you fold your little bit of yarn in half and then just put it on the silver part of your latch hook below this little flippy thing. So you're just going to put that on there. Then you're going to put, I'm going to skip the bottom one. You're going to put your hook underneath. You've got all the little things. You're going to put it underneath that line. Go all the way through so the flippy thing is now on the other side. And then when you pull it back, that flippy thing starts to lift up. You're going to wrap your thread, not wrap it, but just put it on the other side of the handle or the silver part, and then you're just going to pull it through. Like I said, these ones kind of get stuck a little bit because they're so fluffy. So if you can't pull it all the way through, like with the hook on it, you can just take the hook off and then finish pulling it through. So again, I just fold it in half and stick it on the handle. We're going to call the silver part the handle. Make sure well, the flippy doesn't matter if it's backwards or forwards. You just need to make sure it's on the other side of the line before you start coming back. And then if you start pulling back, that stands up so you can see where it is. And then just put your yarn on the other side of the silver handle and then pull through. And see how this is all coming down here? So if you started at the top, you'd have to try and get under there to do the next one. That's how I did it the first time when I first tried this, because I hadn't done it in forever, so I couldn't remember how to do it. So again, you just go through like that. And now it's really kind of stuck and kind of hard to pull. I don't want to yank super hard because I don't want to rip these. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this off and then grab those two ends and just continue pulling them until they come through. And this kind of yarn that has the little string on it, after you get this all done, I think you could rake it and it would make it look just like fur. I think that it would just like that string would kind of come off and it would be really, really fluffy. It's already really fluffy. This is really quite cool yarn. And I couldn't tell you what kind of yarn it is or anything because I just got it in a big bag. None of them had any kind of labels or anything on them. And I'm not a knitter or anything, so I don't know anything about yarn, except it's expensive. I couldn't believe how expensive it was. I don't know how people can afford to knit anything, because I think the cheapest one that I saw there, which was a pretty thin, plain colored yarn at Walmart, I think was like $2.99 or something, and anything that was pretty like this was like $8. I just really didn't realize that. And I was going to leave an empty one on each end, but I forgot to. I think I am going to leave an empty one on this end because it's easier to hang on to as you're going if you've got that little extra bit of fabric there to grab onto. So then what you're going to do, let me take this out, is now we've just finished this line. I can't leave that. It's driving me crazy. I have to cover that up. Okay, so I'm going to finish this line. Yeah, and it's hard. No, I'm not. Because especially when you do this one, when you put the hook through there and try and pull your yarn back, it wants to grab over the edge of the material. So you really do want to just have one all the way around. And so I'm going to start in one, like I should have on the first one. Oh, and I was going to just kind of show you. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go to the next line up, and we're going to skip this whole row. And I'm going to take this one out right now so that it's all the same. I'll take that out later. It's kind of too hard. Once I start this one in one, I'll remember on the next line to start in one. So then you just continue until you get the whole thing done. And then you just kind of decide what it is that you might want to do with it. If you want to make it into a tuck spot or a pocket, if you want to make it into a patch for a shirt, even that would be kind of cute. And the thing is, I'm doing this all in one color. And the last one I also did all in one color. But you could do this one row of one color, one row of another color. You can make a pattern. You can get a piece of graph paper and draw something on the graph paper, and then just decide, this would be your graph paper. So on your lines, you would, let's say you drew a flower. Let's say, okay, a flower, a heart. So then you would count those squares, and you would mark this red, 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 and then wherever you didn't want the red, maybe like white all the way around it. And you can make your own patterns, and then you just look at the pattern as you're doing it, or color it right onto here so that you know wherever this is red, that's where you would put a red string, and wherever it's white, that's where you would put a white string. To make sure the little flippy stands up before you try and grab your yarn. One of them came out and one of them was still tucked back in, so I'm going to pull that one out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go off for a second, and I'm going to finish this up, and then I'm going to come back and we'll kind of do something with them. So let me finish this last one right here, because it does take a while, so you don't want to sit here and watch me do the whole thing. And again, like that's a little bit stuck, so I could just keep pulling, but I'm just going to take it out and grab those two threads that are on the bottom side. I know those are the ones that are loose, and just pull those through. But that's what we have so far, and isn't that just cute? I just really like it. You could use this if you make an art doll. You could do this, and you could put a little skirt on her. Oh, it would make a really cute little tutu or something. So I will be back in just a second, and we'll do something. Okay, I'm back, and I have finished the little piece that we started, and I've decided what I'm going to do with this one that I made. And so I did have extra pieces left over. So what I'm going to do to keep them in good shape is I'm going to put them in one of our little plastic lunch baggies, and that will keep them all together. And so first what we'll do is this one is finished, and so this is what it looks like. Also, I remembered when I did the original latch hook when I was younger. You put a piece of masking tape halfway on the back, folded it over, and halfway on the front on this extra bit, and that made it sturdier and stronger. And then when you were done, you like folded that back, and or you used that if you were going to frame it, you used that as like the part that went into the frame. So also, I think having that masking tape around it makes it more sturdy, makes it so that you don't do the ones you're not supposed to, and just makes it a little bit easier to work with. So you might want to try that if you're going to do this. And then I thought what we would do, I want to show you what the back looks like, because even the back is kind of cool looking. And I thought what we would do is, I love how fluffy this is, but if you were maybe going to put it in a book or something, I thought we'll see what it looks like if we trim it down. Now, I don't want to trim it way down, but maybe so it's just not quite this long, because I know that that's what they had you do with the latch hook rug. So I figured this was a small sample piece. We'll see what it's like so we would know if we'd want to do that or not. And so I'm just going to kind of give it a haircut and see what it looks like if we make it a little shorter. And then we're going to really go through this and make it a little shorter and a little shorter, just so we can see what's what. Okay, so there, it's a little bit more, you could flatten it out a little better. It doesn't hang down as far, and that really looks kind of cute. Actually, I think that that's kind of a cute length maybe to do in a book. But let's fluff it back up and cut it a little shorter than that and see what that looks like. I don't think you want to get too close to where you're going to see the little squares. So I think we'll only want to do it maybe one more time. And that looks like I took off about a ½ inch. So I'm going to do that again, take off about another ½ inch. You could also, I was just thinking, you could trim it like this, like maybe kind of part it and trim it right down the middle, so you'd have a long one, a short one, and a long one. That would be kind of neat too. Okay, I'm going to kind of fluff it up to see if there's any extra long spots or anything, so that it's more level. So this is now about a ½ inch tall. That's about how tall it is right there. So, and I have to say that it still covers up and everything, but to me it's not as cute. I liked it better when the strings were longer. But now you know kind of what it looks like if you trim it off. Now it reminds me of shag carpet. Before it didn't. But I think I'm going to comb this too, because this is the one that had the strings on it. Maybe I can comb it and make it fluffy, and then I will like it better. So that is just a little bit of playing around to see what they do. Of course, and then this will make something kind of fun, or stuffing or something. Alrighty. And now what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to make this into a book spine. I made myself a little book here. I did a 1-inch spine, and I am going to use this to wrap around this little book. I made this book long enough so that when I fold this back and tack it down, that will be my top right there. And then it's actually shorter than my book, but my fibers hang down to the bottom of the book, because I don't want to put it, if I line it up with the bottom of this right there, then what's going to happen is these are going to be, I wouldn't be able to set the book down on anything. It would just mess those, you know, you could and they would fluff up, but it would just mess those up and get them, you know, they'd be extra dirty from like being on countertops or, you know, like bookcases, whatever. So I think that doing it this way, where it just comes even with the bottom, is a good way to do it. And then that's going to go on there like that. So, but instead of having just that, I wanted to just put a couple of little beads on it. So I took a couple of our, these are the plastic beads that we made, And so I'll just show you really quickly how I did that. And also I made my own jump rings. To make jump rings, you just wrap your wire around anything round. Now these are going to be big jump rings because I need to get down into that fibers. But if you use like a skewer or anything like that, you can make very small jump rings. And then what you're going to do is you're going to tack off the very end of it. Like this end right here, you're going to get rid of that to where you're in a good part of a circle, which I've already done down here because I've already cut some. And then what you do is you take the flat part of your cutters and kind of put it right up against that and cut the one that's behind it, the next one. And you can only cut one at a time. If you try and cut more than one wire, it doesn't cut right. Okay, then we've got now a little end right here, which is hard to see, but there's the end right there. And so I'm going to take my cutters and kind of put them right up against that, and I'm going to go at just a touch of an angle, not much at all, and nip the next one. And you just keep doing that until you get to the end where there's not an actual circle anymore. You know, you'll still have the extra little bit of wire there, but that's not going to make a good jump ring. You can use that for something else. Alrighty, and then to make the dangle, I just took one of our, that's a plastic bead, just like a paper bead. And there is a video on how to make those plastic beads, but I am just going to put a swirl on the bottom of it. And you just get a circle started, and then just use your flat pliers to continue around. I'm not real good at swirls, but I'm sure there's tutorials on YouTube on how to make swirls. So, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bend it at a 90-degree angle from the swirl, so that my bead hangs above the swirl and not on the edge of the swirl where it was. It's kind of got a corner on it. It'd be kind of cool to make it octagon shaped. And I'm just going to put my bead on there, and then I'm going to go up just a little bit from the bead, so I've got a place to wrap some of the wire, and make a 90-degree angle. The 90-degree angle makes it so that when you make your circle, that your circle winds up being right in the center of your bead. That's why you do that. And then bring these pliers to the top, and then just wrap this extra around. And I have too much, so I'm going to nip it off. And then use my pliers to really push that in there, or flatten that out so that it doesn't poke somebody. And so there we've got a little dangle. And then I'm just going to try, I thought about hooking them together and letting them dangle, but then I thought maybe I should just like come in and put them, how many do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spaces. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This is center right here. So I'm going to go down. I'm going to go down 1 because I don't want to put it right at the top. And I'm just going to put my jump ring through there. And put one of the beads on it. See what this looks like. Bring your jump ring back together. And there it is. And you can't see it. It's too short. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it off this jump ring. And I'm going to put another jump ring on this jump ring, and then put it on and see how that looks. And there we go. It's just sticking right out of there. Looks really cute. And so then I'm going to just put another one just down a little bit, and I'm going to do the dark blue, and then I'll do the gray. And I know that I need 2 jump rings. So I'm going to stick one on there before I even bother to put this in. 1, 2, 3. It goes in the fourth one. If you can hear that in the background, Papa's shredding paper. There we go. And then I'm going to put this blue one on the second jump ring. If I can get it on there. There we go. Close that up. That looks cute. I'm going to put one more. Let's go down a couple. Make sure I'm in the right spot. 1, 2, 3, 4. It gets a little bit stuck in the yarn. Actually, I should go this way because that's the way the yarn's going. It doesn't make it a whole lot easier. It still gets a little stuck. And then put on the second jump ring. Close this one up. And the bigger your jump rings are, the less sturdy or tight they are. You know, if this was a smaller jump ring, they'd be a little bit tighter. And it also depends on, you know, like how thick your wire is. So there we go. That's what that looks like. I like it. And then I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it on here. Fold this under so we can kind of get a... And that is what it's going to look like. I think it's cute. I really like it. So that is something that you could do with these. And, you know, that's my idea. And you may think that it's very odd, but it is something that I like. And that's the thing. When you do something like this, do with it whatever you think would be cool. You don't have to do anything like anybody else does. So I'm going to just really try, because I had mentioned I wondered what it would be like to do the like the eyelash trims. I didn't know if we could do it or not. So I'm not going to do a whole piece or anything, but I am going to just cut a few and put them in here, and we'll see how badly they catch, because that other yarn kind of caught a little bit too. Okay, and I started at the bottom. I need to end at the bottom. Yeah, I just don't know if this is going to be really doable or not. And I really should have laid this on my table so it didn't move, but... And I forgot to cut off the last string. Okay, so I'm going to put them in separate piles so they don't get too tangled maybe. And let's see how it works and if they fill out enough to make it worth doing. Fold it in half. It's definitely getting kind of stuck. Let me take it out and pull it. It does seem to go in there pretty good. Let's put a couple more on, see what they look like. That one pulled right through. And they look like they're going to be thick enough, you know, to kind of fill in. That one. I'll just really try and quickly do this. That's what happens when you try and do things quickly. And try and get maybe just a little bit up on the second row just to see how it works and what it looks like. yeah, this fabric seems to work really well. So, and the other thing is, when you go to the secondhand store to look for some yarn, also look and see if they have a latch hook kit. Because if they have one and you like the colors of the yarn and it has the fabric in there and everything, you can use that and cut it up just like this and use the colors of the yarn to make anything that you want to make with it. You don't have to make whatever the kit says. So I even looked to see how much the kits were at Walmart, and they didn't have any kits either. So I'm thinking this is kind of a bygone craft, but you know, things always make a reemergence, and I got the hook at the dollar store, so you know, maybe it is coming back. But I like it more in a mixed media sense than in making a whole rug. Plus, it's a whole lot quicker to do this than to make a whole rug. So there we go. And it does work pretty good. Whoops. Let me see if you can. Oops, turned it off. So that's what that looks like, but it does cover. It does cover up pretty much. And you know, you can see a little there, but by the time you get the next layers on, that's pretty well covered. And there's what the back looks like. I never thought the back really looked very pretty. If you have a pattern, you can see the pattern in the back. But anyway, so you can use the funky trims on there, and they will also work. And then if they're just a little bit, you know, too off or whatever, you can always trim them up a bit. But yeah, so there we go. That is the type of things that you can, you know, you can do with the latch hook. And just basically more how to do it. And I really like this. So, and you can trim it down, but maybe you don't want to trim it quite so far. I do have a comb here. Let me see. Let's see how this, and this is because of the type of yarn this is, although, you know, I would think maybe lots of yarns would separate if you combed them. This one is separating, and you can see the string that was wrapped around it. So maybe if it was regular yarn without the string in there, it would even be fluffier. Yeah, that might have looked better when it was really long. So, but yeah, it doesn't do anything to that. So there we go. I hope that if you play with the latch hook and make something with it, that you'll have a really good time of it. I really do appreciate you watching. Thank you very much. And for next week, what we're going to need is fun foam. And what we're going to do is I'm putting it on our list as buying a package of fun foam at the dollar store for $1. So we'll put $4 more in our bank. Let's see where our bank is sitting. After we get our fun foam and put the $4 in our bank, we will have $27.50 back in our bank. So you'll need the fun foam and some cardboard, and you can use chipboard or corrugated cardboard. You might want a little of both, and a pen and scissors, and you're going to need some paint and your paint pad. So, alrighty, well, thank you very much for watching. I hope that you did like the video, and I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.